Feel the grip of the oar handle, smooth yet firm in your hands. Taste the salt of your own sweat and the occasional splash of water. It's all part of the journey. Welcome to another episode of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. Each week, our host, Masters rowing coach Rebecca Caro, dives deep into the world of Masters rowing. Whether you're on the water or in the gym, join us to become a faster master. Let's go rowing.
Hello everybody and welcome to another edition of Faster Masters Rowing Radio. I'm Rebecca Caro and today we're talking about the psychology of chasing splits. Splits, we all know, they're the 500 meter or meters per second recording of how fast you are moving your boat, moving your rowing machine. What I want to go into is, why do we do it? Is it worthwhile? And what are the implications of chasing splits? But before I do that, I want to just check over what's in our program this month. For those of you who are subscribed to the monthly recurring training programs, there are 6 modules each month. Some of you will be familiar with this. We have got 3 programs ready for you to start training on right now. The first one is for 1K September peak. If you are racing a 1K event in September, this will take you through your final preparation, your taper week, and into competition. It's all about sharpening all of the fine motor skills that you need to race. Our other 2 programs are focused on head races, long distance races. One is explicitly for the head of the Charles and is designed to peak on the weekend of the 18th to the 20th of October. The other is a more general long distance head racing peak, which will suit you if you're doing the head of the Yarra. It will suit you if you're doing the long distance heads in London. Sorry to hear the Scullers head got cancelled, but if you're doing the pairs head, the fours head, veteran fours head, those are all there for you. In the technique module, we're looking at catches and how we should take our catch in terms of power and what it does to the boat. I've called it a controversial viewpoint. You may not agree with what I have to say, but I'll give you some things to try out so you can work out what works for you and your crew when you're training together on the water. We've got land training, gym, strength and conditioning work that aligns with the water training programs. Remember, the water training can be done on the erg or on the water. So pick the program that aligns with what you're doing on the water. Our peak performance tip article is about activated isolated stretching, AIS. Really interesting topic and quite useful for those of us who know that we need to be stretching more, and also for those of us who have a particular niggle, whether it's in your pelvis, your hamstring, if you're trying to improve your mobility as well as your flexibility, well worth looking at that. And in parallel, the rowing lifestyle article is about sitting well. And our bonus is entitled Laughing All the Way to the Boathouse. You're going to have to read it to find out what that's all about, but I guarantee you're going to love it. Back to splits. Splits are a really useful training tool until electronics were added to the rowing pantheon of tools. We really didn't know a lot about how fast we were making a boat unless we had a measured, marked distance. And those of us who are old enough to remember that will remember some wonderfully named marked distances that were unique to each river. We had a particular distance that was called a grind. I forget the detail of where it went from and to, but basically once you had done it once, you could repeat it, and that meant you could then compare your boat speed from one outing to another. Splits helped us to improve this and make things more universally comparable. So the very first rowing machine included 500 meter splits on the electronic display. And that has become our default that we use for an awful lot of our training. As a sidebar, you may realize that the rowing machine split is pretty aligned to what a heavyweight men's Cox's 4 is able to do on the water. And one of the things that Row Perfect, that later became RP3, brought in was a means to make your split on the rowing machine equivalent to what you can do on the water, what your potential on the water is, given good blade work and no wind. That was seen as a really useful tool, but at the time, a lot of people felt that they didn't want that. They just wanted something that compares with the Concept 2 split. That's a discussion for another day. Now, splits are the sorts of things that help us to see how we are going in the moment and over certain workouts. But your split is not equal to your training zone. Training zones are part of the physiology of how coaches write programs that are designed to give you certain outcomes, whether that's racing, whether that's improving your base fitness, your overall absolute strength, your aerobic, your anaerobic system, and training these different physiological parts of your body help you to achieve your goals in rowing. Different people are very different. And as we age, we tend to find that our base fitness, our long distance fitness, is really sustained. We don't lose it very quickly. We're very different from younger athletes. By contrast, your absolute strength declines with age, and we've discussed that in different past podcasts. And also, your ability then to rate higher reduces, and your ability to train your anaerobic system is more challenged. When you join the Faster Masters training program, we have some tests that we run, and regular listeners will know what these are. These are really important because they help you to set up training zones that are right for you. They also allow you to focus on the bit of your physiology which requires more work compared with other bits. I can't emphasize enough how important this is. If you have the same training program that you give to a 40-year-old man who has come out of active rowing for much of his life, a woman who is 60, 65, who has come to rowing later in life and is reasonably new to the sport, maybe, 4, 5, 6 years in, they can't do the same workouts. It's not just about how strong you are or how fit you are or how far you can row. They are not physically capable unless they are absolutely unique, crazy athletes. It's really, really important that you know your own training zones so that you can adapt and adjust the program to suit you. So if you're in a club where there are lots of different people of different ages and different skill areas, you may find it really challenging. You might find that the program's too easy for you. You might find that it's too hard. You might find that the recovery is insufficient. If those are symptoms you're suffering, come to Faster Masters and we'll help you work out your training zones so that you can interpret the program and adapt it to suit you. You can buy our paper on how to test yourself, including all the test protocols. It's called the Faster 5. If you message me, I'll tell you where to find it if you can't find it, interestingly, straight away today. Hey, Alex, yes, absolutely. 25 does not equal 35, does not equal 45, 55. Couldn't agree with you more. So, our splits are relative. They are a really useful tool in our training. And there are definite athletic benefits of training to splits. And one of the things that you do if you're a committed trainer who trains to race is that you retest yourself regularly so that you can see how you are progressing. And then you adjust your training zones splits so that they match your new state of physical fitness. Like any tool, you've got to use it mindfully. There's a lot of psychology of tracing splits. We know how fun it is to look at a number and see if you can beat it. We're competitive beings. Human beings evolved to be competitive. It's really hard to deny that to yourself. And it's really motivating if you beat the number. But if you beat the number and go out of that training zone into an adjacent training zone as a result, you aren't then helping yourself achieve your goals for your training, for your fitness, for your future race performances. So you can understand the dilemma here of the split versus what you're trying to achieve in the medium to long term. So chasing splits, it's up to you. What are you trying to do with your rowing? Do you get more motivated by chasing a split? Why not make it a split that's really attuned to your body right now in its training this month? Or do you just like having a number and then you maybe get depressed because it wasn't the same number that you were able to chase, 3 years ago, 5 years ago? I leave it up to you, but understand that the program you're following was written with a reason in mind, a purpose in mind, a goal in mind, and you are not supporting what your coaches are trying to help you to do if you don't do the program. And following the wrong split is a very good example of not doing the program. How does it work for you? Figure it out. Until next time.
We are part of the Rowing Chat Podcast Network. Please tell your fellow rowers about the show. If you've learned just one helpful thing from today's episode, please consider supporting the show for as little as $1 per month by visiting fastermastersrowing.com/podcast.